What if the story of the prodigal son isn't just about forgiveness, but a shocking revelation of who God really is? Jesus didn't tell this parable as a sweet bedtime story. He told it to rattle the self-righteous and expose the true nature of grace. His Jewish audience would have been stunned from the very first sentence. The younger son asks his father for his share of the inheritance. That doesn't mean I'm ready to be independent. It means I wish you were dead. In that culture, inheritance only came when the father died. This wasn't just selfishness. It was a brutal rejection of the father himself. In essence, the son was saying, "You're as good as dead to me." What's even more shocking is the father gives it to him. No argument, no punishment. He just divides up the estate. This would have been utterly shameful in a culture where a father's honor was everything. The father is already suffering public humiliation. He absorbs it without a word. The son then goes to a far-off land, wasting everything on reckless living. He eventually hits rock bottom, taking care of pigs. For a Jew, this wasn't just a bad job. Pigs were unclean. This meant the son had fallen about as far as a Jew could fall. He wasn't just broke, he was filthy, unclean, outside the covenant, a total disgrace. When the son decides to go home, he doesn't plan to ask to be a son again. He plans to ask to become a servant. He knows he's forfeited his right to be called family, and the original audience would have expected him to be rejected or punished if he dared show his face again, but instead, the father sees him from far off. Which means he was looking, waiting, hoping, and then he runs. This is where the audience would have gasped. Middle-aged Jewish men didn't run. It was undignified. But this father doesn't care. He runs. Why? Likely to reach the son before the village does. There was a known ceremony at the time called the kazaza, where a community would symbolically break a pot and declare a shameful son cut off and dead. The father is trying to beat them to it. He wants to restore the son before anyone else can shame him. The father doesn't just welcome him back. He kisses him, puts a robe on him, gives him a ring and sandals for his feet. Each of those is packed with meaning. The robe is likely the father's own, a sign of honor. The ring is a symbol of authority, probably the family signet. It means he's reinstated as a son, not a servant. The sandals are also for sons. Slaves went barefoot. He's not coming home as hired help. He's being fully restored. Then the father kills the fattened calf. That was reserved for the biggest celebrations, often for the entire community. This wasn't a quiet welcome home. It was a public feast. The father isn't hiding his joy or his forgiveness. He's throwing a party for everyone to see. Enter the older brother. He's angry, bitter, resentful. He refuses to go in. And that's another public insult. In that culture, the older son would have been expected to co-host the banquet. Instead, he stands outside sulking, and the father has to come out and plead with him. That would have been another moment of shock. The father humiliates himself again. Just like he did for the younger son, he humbles himself before both rebellious children. One ran off and one stayed put, but both broke his heart. The older son accuses the father of favoritism and entitlement. He says, "This son of yours," refusing to even call him a brother, but the father corrects him. He says, "This brother of yours was dead and is alive." It's a gentle but firm reminder. You don't get to choose whose family. And then the parable ends. Jesus doesn't tell us whether the older brother goes in or not. Why? Because he's talking to the Pharisees. They're the older brother. They've kept all the rules, but they're furious that Jesus is welcoming sinners. Jesus leaves the story open, forcing them to answer. Will you come in or will you stay out? Here's what the original audience would have heard loud and clear. First, sin is uglier than we realize. It's not just breaking rules. It's treating God like he's dead. Second, grace is more shocking than we think. The Father doesn't just forgive. He runs, he restores, he rejoices. He throws dignity aside to get his son back. Third, God doesn't just forgive the rebellious. He pleads with the religious. He humbles himself for both the immoral and the self-righteous. Fourth, the invitation to the feast is open, but you have to lay down your pride to enter. Some sinners come running back, some good people won't even walk in. This parable isn't about one bad son who gets lucky. It's about two lost sons and one outrageous father. And if you miss that, you miss the whole point of the gospel. Whether you've wandered far off or stayed close, for all the wrong reasons, the Father is still watching, still waiting, still running to meet you. Will you come in?